Hi, welcome to Sneak and Show Gaming. I'm Paddy Robinson. I'm here with Sam Loy. We're going to do a bunch of standard matches today. We're going to play the matchup Black-White Control, which Sam has just done his deck pick for, and today I'm playing William Jensen's Blue-White Control deck from Grand Prix Dallas Fort Worth. Huey came second in this event with this deck, and I mean, if you're familiar with Standard at all at the moment, you're aware that Blue-White's kind of pillar of the format, and this deck doesn't really deviate from the norm too much. In fact, it's pretty much become the industry standard. So I'll go through the card choices relatively quickly. We've got the standard package of 4 Supreme Verdicts, 4 Sphinx's Revelation, 4 Detention Spheres, 4 Azorius Charm, along with 4 Divination. The counter suite has 4 Dissolve and 2 Syncopates, and then we have 3 Jace Architect of Thought, and as win conditions we're running with an Elspeth Sun's Champion and Elixir of Immortality. There's 2 Quickens and a Ratchet Bomb to kind of like supplement the main deck. Quicken gives you some nice Supreme Verdict kind of interaction, while also cycling when you don't need it. You don't need it for sorcery interaction. And Ratchet Bomb is just a generic catch-all, playing the 5th Wrath of God or Pack Rat Insurance and that sort of stuff. Main deck's relatively straightforward. I think there's a lot of 4-obs in it, and that's kind of a product of Thoughtseize-based format, I believe. When you're having your hand stripped apart strategically by Thoughtseize, it's good to have lots and lots of redundancy, so you have 4-obs of all your best spells, along with cards like Divination, which let you kind of refuel and come back from having critical spells taken away by just getting ahead on mass and volume of cards. The mana base is pretty basic in the sense that we have 16 basic lands. I really like basic lands. They come into play untapped. They don't deal any damage to me. They always tap the mana I want them to, and I just have a really good time playing basic lands. It's a good incentive to be 2 colors in this format. If you play Esper, the 3-color variant of this, you often find yourself having hands where you don't play anything on turn 4 because your lands come into play tapped, and basic lands really help you get over that. Casting your verdicts on time, playing planeswalkers on time, having mana to cast counter spells, divination and interspells, all that sort of stuff. Along with that, we have 4 Hallowed Fountains, which I think you'd all expect, and 4 Azorius Guildgate because we haven't got Blue-White Scryland yet. I think it's coming in Born to Gods though, is that right?
Yeah, soon.
Yeah, very soon. Last card to talk about in the main deck is this 2-of Mutavault. Mutavault's one of my favorite cards in the format. It's a nice versatile card for attacking planeswalkers out of control decks while also being a mana source, which is this deck is hungry for. This is really good Jace insurance. In the blue-white mirrors, they can't play Jace and tick it down if you have Mutavault in play because you just get to kill it for free, which creates some interesting kind of tension where they don't get to use that Jace to get ahead on cards. I think Mutavault's really important. Anyway, that's the main deck kind of covered. It's the industry standard. You should, if you're considering playing big standard tournaments, you should get familiar with this list because it's everywhere and it's very good. I think I haven't played very much with it. As moving on to the sideboard, we have a suite of counter spells to improve the mirror. Can you see my hand? You can see my hand, right? Yeah, cool. All right. Yeah, we have a suite of extra counter spells to enhance our control matchup, along with Jace Memory Adept, which also comes in that instance. We have 3 copies of Last Breath, which has become a kind of versatile removal spell of the format, killing Nightveil Spectre, Pack Rats, Master of Waves, Mutavaults.
Yeah, just anything you've got a problem with, really.
Exactly. Kills Ash Zealots if you need to. It's very flexible and unlike
surprisingly flexible for how restrictive the card is.
Yeah, the card looks really restricted, but it happens to kill a lot of the big players in the game today. To flesh out the sideboard, we have these 3 lifelink creatures, this lifelink creature package. Originally, Huey played 3 Flintslayer Paladin, but we kind of moved into an Archangel of Thune because it's kind of good against mono blue as well. But these are really helpful against aggressive red decks and the likes. The lifelink is obviously very relevant, and to have a board presence is actually quite very important in those sort of matchups. So you just get onto the board and slow the game down. Make them have to commit more to the board, get better value of your Supreme Verdicts. Complementing that, we have this Blind Obedience, which is good against haste creatures, Mistgutter Hydra, Stormbreath Dragon, etc., and also just for incremental advantage. We have a Ratchet Bomb, which complements our other Ratchet Bomb in the main deck, and again, this Jace Memory Adept, which is good for mono black and other control matchups. 15th card is Pithing Needle. Who knows what that card does? Anyway, I think that kind of covers everything except for Pithing Needle, which no one can ever cover.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts, Sam?
No, that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. Cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope you enjoy our playtest video, and cool. See you guys later.
All right. Hi, I'm Sam, and I'm here with Sneak and Show Games and Paddy Robinson. And we're doing a playtest video today, and I want to show you the black-white control deck that I'll be playing. Alright, so what we've got here is we've got what's about a bit of a change on the mono-black control deck, which has been fairly dominant in this standard season. We've got some classics like we've got 4 Pack Rats, 4 Desecration Demons, a couple of differences in the creature base. We've got the 4 Blood Baron of Biscopa instead of Grey Merchant. This card's much higher impact by itself than the Grey Merchant is. Obviously, you don't get any crazy drain games where you just get to kill someone immediately with a Grey Merchant activation or whatever, but this card's very hard to remove, just very powerful in the format. We have a Singleton Sin Collector. Generally speaking, most decks have instants and sorceries in their hands, but we don't want to overcommit to it pre-board. So it's basically there for control games, and it does a bit of work, but we're not prepared to commit to more than one pre-board. The rest is basically the same deal, except these can come down earlier and they can strip a Brave the Elements or a Burn spell from a mono red deck. So they're a little higher impact and a little safer.
Also, they can take Planeswalkers as well.
They can also take Planeswalkers.
Detention Spheres and Underworld Connections.
Yep. Yep. All good things to take. Yeah, and we have the removal package. So we've got 4 Heroes Downfall, can kill anything. Devour Flesh is our next most generic removal spell, and because we have such a density of removal in this deck, we're able to play Edicts to a really good effect. We have our marginal removal source here, which are the 2 Ultimate Price and the 2 Last Breath. The Last Breath is, yeah, it's fairly well positioned, even if it is a bad spell. Kills Pack Rat, Knockout Spectre, Master of Waves, Mutavault. Ultimate Price is, you know, similarly restrictive. It doesn't kill everything in the format, but it kills the stuff that the Last Breath don't, basically.
It also kills Pack Rat.
Kills Pack Rat as well. Everything kills Pack Rat. Everything wants to kill Pack Rat. Yeah. It's a pretty bad guy, yeah, which is why we're playing
bad man.
Exactly. Alright, and we've got the 4 Thoughtseizers. Pretty standard. It's Thoughtseize. Card's good. You're going to play as many as you can
best
normally.
Card in the format.
Yeah, possibly the best card in the format. Thoughtseize and Mutavault are sort of in a fight for that right now, but we'll just play all 8 and we'll be happy with that. Yeah. We've got a bit of a change from what most decks have. Most decks are playing 4 Underworld Connections. We're playing 4 Read the Bones. When you don't actually get anything from the Devotion for Underworld Connections, having the card selection and immediate impact of the Scry 2 before you draw 2 on the Read the Bones can get you out of a lot of worse situations than the Underworld Connections will. You obviously don't develop the long game advantage you do with the Underworld Connections, but the Read the Bones can draw you into your threats immediately, take advantage when you're ahead, or pull you out when you're behind. And it's really important. The mana base is fairly simple. It's a bunch of black. You splash in a bunch of white. You obviously want all your Scrylands because they're sweet. Mutavaults are great. We've got 2 Oils of Gilgades and the Plains just to support the white that we have in the deck. Because we're drawing so many cards off the Read the Bones and stalling the game out, so they're going to go for a lot of turns. Having what is only 11 white sources is fine. There's no double white spells.
Yeah, there's 5. There's only five white mana symbols in the main deck.
7 actually with the last phase, but yeah. So yeah, basically we're trying to just stall people out and take over the game with one of these ridiculous cards here. Yeah, so moving on to the sideboard. So what we have in the sideboard is that we have a collection of anti-control cards, which are the Pithing Needle, the Duress, the Underworld Connections, and the Sin Collectors. You notice that we are playing Underworld Connections for some matches where it's a little better positioned than it is against aggro decks, for instance. Yeah, the card's pretty nuts, but basically there's some games where all you want is more cards, and that's what they're for. For anti-aggro, we have 3 Freaker's Cure, which is possibly the best anti-aggro card in the format. A Doomblade for just generic removal when we want an extra removal spell against things like Mono Blue, where a Master of Wave is just definitely death. And a Shrivel for anywhere where we can actually get use out of Shrivel. Sometimes you'll pick up a 2-for-1 for it, sometimes it's just a 1-for-1.
And sometimes it's Plague Wind.
Sometimes it's just Plague Wind, yeah. Card's sweet. The other removal spell we have inside is this Dark Betrayal, obviously for the mono black decks. Card's fairly good. We don't really want to overcommit to it because we already have a lot of removal and a lot of edicts. But it's important to be able to kill Night Veil Spectre, and you really need to give it a nod. And obviously Pack Rat, as we mentioned before. We've got Life and Zombie just to keep a clock going. Sometimes you want the extra creatures, and sometimes it's just insane value when you actually get to strip cards with it. But yeah, I mean, the card, that's probably the closest thing to generically good we have in the sideboard. And yeah, Pithing Needle's Pithing Needle.
Yeah. What does it do? No one knows.
No one knows. No one knows. But it's here to do it. So yeah, that's the deck. Is there anything you want to say about it, Paddy?
Uh, no, I think that I just like to comment on Life Bend Zombie. It's although it only strips green and white creatures, it's got a lot of flexible value in the sideboard of decks. Like Sam was saying, when you want creatures, you can just bring it in, even if it's not definitely going to hit. Having it against blue-white control and Esper control is actually better than having some of your edicts or your heroes downfalls or whatnot. You really want to. You can play it on 3 and just have a clock, find out what's up in their hand, see what's going on. It attacks past Elspeth tokens to threaten Elspeth. I really like it as a flexible card in a lot of matchups.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, it's enough like Vendilion Clique that I'm never
Yeah,
not
it's
going to
got a
play
little bit of Vendilion.
it.
And I rate
The
that.
card's pretty sweet.
I respect it. It's also insane. You can even bring it in against the Black White Mirror because if you take the Blood Baron, it's really good.
It's probably one of the most insane cards you can take
Yeah,
in the format.
it's
That
pretty
or a
much
Polychronos or something like
yeah,
that.
Blue Grass or something. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna go to some games now.
Thanks, guys.